Over 16 years ago, BioWare released what many older gamers consider the Canadian video game developer's magnum opus, Mass Effect, an RPG set in a sci-fi setting that took the gaming world by storm in 2007. Due to the success of the first Mass Effect, BioWare immediately got to work on the sequel in Mass Effect 2, which turned out to be an even bigger success than the first game. Mass Effect 3 was then rushed out relatively quickly, and well, the third entry in the franchise had a few issues, mostly surrounding the endings, but the game was generally accepted as an amazing final chapter to an incredible series. 5 years later, BioWare released the next anticipated title in the franchise, Mass Effect Andromeda. But in an unfortunate turn of events, it turned out to be what is now considered the worst entry in the franchise, with numerous issues plaguing the game such as game-breaking bugs, horrible animations, and lackluster writing, to name just a few. Now, no matter what you think of Mass Effect Andromeda as of today, even after numerous fixes by BioWare post-release, the fact of the matter is that the negative reception of the game put the entire franchise on hold for several years, and for a long time it was believed that this was the end for the franchise. Well, up until December 2020, when the first teaser arrived for the next Mass Effect game, and soon after that, it was revealed that a remaster of the original Mass Effect trilogy was in the works, and in May 2021, N7s old and new all over the world were playing this legendary series once again. And it's now been over 3 years since the release of Mass Effect Legendary Edition, and the beloved series has seen a pretty big resurgence in gaming culture. Despite this, some of you maybe never played any of the Mass Effect games, and maybe some of you played the original versions of the games, but not the remaster. And so you may be asking yourself, is it worth playing Mass Effect Legendary Edition today? Well, in short, yeah, absolutely. But before we get into the reasons why, if you're a fan of the channel and you want to unlock some extra content or just to help me keep this channel running, I guess, then my Patreon's down in the sticky comment below. For only $5 a month, you get access to everything I upload over there, so hey, if you enjoy my content, then well, you'll simply get access to more. Alright, that's enough shilling for today. Now, first of all, what is Mass Effect? Well, in short, Mass Effect is essentially a grand sci-fi epic, not unlike Star Wars, albeit with more sex. You play as either male or female Commander Shepard, a special military operative with a custom background who gets thrown into a galaxy-spanning adventure centered on uncovering a mystery that threatens every sentient lifeform in the known universe. Speaking of which, Mass Effect is set more than 150 years into the future at a point when the human race has become members of a galactic community of many different alien races. And as Shepard, you become a de facto spokesperson of humanity for much of the story surrounding the 3 games. This means that despite Mass Effect being a third-person shooter action game, many of the most memorable moments of the franchise are whenever you get to make some tough choices. Some big, some small, and some that will come to affect the future of the entire galaxy.
I'm sorry.
I'm not. Had to be me. Someone else might have gotten it wrong.
Now the cool thing is, Mass Effect was one of the first games to really showcase the consequences of your choices in its sequels, making a lot of the choices you make feel really impactful for you as the player. These choices also include some of the franchise's massive roster of characters, some characters that even become members of your team. And if there's one thing that the Mass Effect franchise is famous for, it's the incredibly memorable cast of characters you meet throughout your adventure. Oh, and as mentioned earlier, we have the numerous spicy love scenes that cemented Mass Effect as the ultimate alien dating simulator.
Yeah, boy.
So, if women in radiation suits turn you on, or if you consider sniping with your boyfriend as foreplay, then the Mass Effect franchise will likely become your bread and butter. Speaking of characters, the Mass Effect franchise boasts some of the best voice acting performances in video games, period. But maybe I'm just biased. Besides the extremely memorable voices of the main protagonists, Commander Shepard, played by Mark Meer and Jennifer Hale, the casting throughout the game is pretty incredible, with actors such as Martin Sheen and Carrie-Anne Moss having huge presences in the game. That's not to say that the other voice actors behind some of the other characters aren't equally impressive, with actors such as Ali Hillis, Ash Sroka, and Brandon Keener, who portrays the characters Liara Tassoni, Tali Zora, and Garrus Vakarian, respectively. These characters were amazingly brought to life by their respective voice actors, and you'd be hard-pressed to find more likable extraterrestrials in any other game. And these 3 characters are just to name a few. Now, I've seen newcomers asking whether Mass Effect is open world or not, and, well, not exactly. The first game is somewhat semi-open world, as you can freely explore the galaxy between missions, and there's a lot of planets that you can land on and explore by using the Mako terrain vehicle, which can be fun to do if you just want to immerse yourself into the universe. Mass Effect 2 and 3, however, are mostly a string of really great missions that takes you across the galaxy, but there is certainly some freedom involved, especially in what order you tackle missions, and there are some hubs that you can freely explore at your own pace, like the Citadel or Omega space stations. So despite most of the Mass Effect series technically not being open world, it certainly feels like it is simply because of how you journey across the big-ass galaxy. Now, when it comes to the Legendary Edition, the first Mass Effect is where most of the focus was put during development of the remaster, considering how outdated most of the original game was. The updated graphics are, of course, definitely better, with improved textures, models, and 4K support, and they've even managed to make the lighting look pretty great. Well, most of the time. The biggest plus for me, though, has to be the smaller things, like the updated camera angle and the removal of the infamous sway effect when using sniper rifles. Oh, and unlike the original game, thankfully you can use all the weapons to maximum efficiency if you want to. Now, what makes Legendary Edition so great is that while BioWare could have simply stopped at remastering the first game, the team also made sure to include Mass Effect 2 and Mass Effect 3 as well. Now, while the changes to Mass Effect 2 and Mass Effect 3 maybe aren't as drastic, BioWare still updated most of the graphics here as well to where it just looks really clean compared to the original games. Yes, lens flares can be a bit much sometimes, especially in Mass Effect 2, but in general, all 3 games look pretty good. And if you thought that the original games looked aged, then the Legendary Edition should definitely bring you over. Another big detail about the Legendary Edition is that the remaster includes every DLC released throughout the franchise, all updated according to the respective games. The only piece of content that wasn't remastered and included was the Pinnacle Station DLC, but to be completely fair, I wouldn't say you'd be missing much for not playing it. Oh, and let's not forget about all the unofficial stuff that's come out since launch, because there's quite literally a metric ton of mods and unofficial patches released for all 3 games, and there's just so much quality out there in the modding community that you'll have days or weeks of extra content to look forward to. Well, if you're on PC, that is. If you're on console, you're shit out of luck. I'm sorry. All this said, the Legendary Edition is still relatively fresh, and aside from the hundreds of hours of gaming you'll get out of all 3 games, there's the previously mentioned modding community that still produces quality content each day. I mean, half my channel is composed entirely out of Mass Effect videos, and I simply wouldn't have been able to churn out so much content if the series hadn't been this huge, which it absolutely is. Now, despite recent rumblings about the studio and its future, BioWare is apparently still hard at work with the next Mass Effect game, colloquially referred to as either Mass Effect 4 or Mass Effect 5. And while we still don't know much about the story or the characters of the next adventure, it's pretty much certain that the game will follow in the footsteps of the original trilogy. So, do yourself a favor and pick this up if you haven't already. Platforms like Steam has sales pretty often for the Legendary Edition, and right now it's something like, what, $5? So hey, go grab it while you still can. Because no matter what the future may bring, the Mass Effect trilogy will remain as one of the greatest and most influential trilogies in gaming. Thank you for watching, and thank you to all of you Patreon members for your support. Ezinator, Spectre Forever, Zeramoth, Kaspar Surna, Jennifer McPhail, Vadim Orlov, and every other Patreon. You're all just really, really awesome. See you in the next one. Mr. Alton, signing off.